Joseph George uses the microscopic analysis of spent nuclear fuel as a central empirical pillar to validate his micro-explosion hypothesis of nuclear fission. His approach diverges from conventional interpretations by suggesting that the energy release in nuclear fission is not merely a smooth conversion of mass into kinetic energy, but rather a localized detonation process at the atomic scale. Here's how the analysis supports the hypothesis. 1. Observation of microstructural damage. Joseph George points to high-resolution microscopy. His approach diverges from electron microscopy (TEM) and scanning electron microscopy to investigate the microstructure of spent nuclear fuel. These methods reveal radial microcracks, amorphous zones and melted regions, shockwave-like spherically distributed damage patterns. These features are difficult to explain purely through thermal or mechanical stress, but align well with what one would expect from localized explosive events at the micro or nanoscale. 2. Interpretation as evidence of microexplosions. In his theory, Joseph George interprets the above microstructural anomalies as direct signatures of quantum detonations, that is, microscopic explosions caused by the conversion of mass defect into a shock wave of energy during each fission event. The missing mass defect, is not lost as mere kinetic recoil of fission fragments. Instead, it transforms explosively into spherical shock waves, which fracture and deform the surrounding crystal lattice of the fuel. This interpretation challenges the traditional view that fission energy is mainly expressed as the kinetic energy of fission products. Mach 3. Falsifiable predictions from microstructure. George's framework is predictive as well as explanatory. It proposes that any spent fuel from fission reactions, especially those involving heavy nuclei like uranium or plutonium, should show these microexplosion scars. The distribution and symmetry of the damage patterns can correlate with the directionality and magnitude of energy release per fission event. He proposes that future controlled experiments on irradiated fuel using correlative TEM-SEM techniques, along with lattice reconstruction methods, can provide repeatable and quantifiable confirmation. 4. Reinterpreting mass energy conversion. At the theoretical level, Joseph George's work reinterprets Einstein's E equals mc2 as not just a mass-to-energy equation, but one that allows for explosive transformation of mass into a new space-filling form of matter, a key concept in his broader research. This transformation is visible, according to George, through the microscopic blast effects in spent nuclear fuel. Thus, the microscopy doesn't just confirm fission energy output, it visualizes the mechanism. Summary: a visual path to theory validation. Joseph George's approach uses empirical microscopy to visually support a theoretical framework of nuclear fission as microexplosions. The presence of microcracks, amorphous zones, and shockwave signatures in spent nuclear fuel is interpreted as the smoking gun evidence for his hypothesis that each fission event behaves like a tiny detonation, redefining our understanding of nuclear energy release. Let me know if you'd like a visual diagram or infographic of this validation method.
The New Physics Project by Joseph George is an independent research initiative that challenges fundamental aspects of mainstream physics, especially core concepts of relativity and quantum mechanics. George's principal claim is the existence of a space-filling substance called ether, which AC. The New Physics Project by Joseph George is an independent research initiative that challenges fundamental aspects of mainstream physics, especially core concepts of relativity and quantum mechanics. George's principal claim is the existence of a space-filling substance called ether, which acts as the medium for all physical phenomena. This ether is postulated to be created during mass defect events, such as nuclear reactions, supernovae, neutron star collisions, and black hole mergers. 15. Key concepts of the New Physics Project. Space-filling ether. Unlike the modern view that space is a vacuum, George argues for ubiquitous, ultrafine ether filling all space. He claims that every mass defect, the difference in mass before and after nuclear reactions or cosmic events, explosively transforms into ether, rather than being entirely converted to energy, as Einstein proposed 154. Variable speed of light. In George's model, the speed of light is not constant. Instead, it depends on the density of the surrounding ether. Denser regions around massive objects slow light down. This directly challenges Einstein's assertion of the universal constancy of light's speed, which is foundational to Relativity 546. Gravitational lensing and cosmic effects. Phenomena such as the bending of starlight, or gravitational lensing, and time dilation are explained by the refraction and drag effects of ether around massive objects, rather than by the curvature of spacetime, as in General Relativity 54. Atomic and light theories. George proposes that electrons in a non-excited atom are motionless, and that photons are vibrating magnetic lines, interpretations that diverge significantly from quantum mechanics, suggesting light's wave-like behavior results from ether interactions. 15. Dark matter and cosmology. He suggests that what is interpreted as dark matter might actually be gradients or concentrations of ether, impacting galactic dynamics through etheric friction, rather than hypothetical particles. 5. Starlight bending and gravitational lensing in Joseph George's theory. The ether-based explanation. Joseph George's new physics project proposes that starlight bending and gravitational lensing are caused not by the curvature of spacetime, as in Einstein's relativity, but by refraction of light through regions of dense, space-filling ether. His theory revives and modernizes the concept of an all-pervading ether, a superfine medium that is generated during mass defect events in the cosmos. Key points of the ether theory. Space is filled with ether. Every mass defect, from nuclear reactions, supernovae, neutron star collisions, and more, explosively creates ether, which saturates all of space. 12. Gravity affects ether density. Massive objects such as stars, planets, and black holes attract and accumulate ether, increasing its local density near these bodies. 12. Varying speed of light. In George's framework, the speed of light depends on ether density. The denser the ether around a massive object, the slower light travels in that region. 312. Starlight bending as refraction. As starlight passes near a massive body, it travels through regions of higher ether density. This causes refraction, just like a beam of light bends when moving from air into water, leading to the apparent bending of the light path. 42. Gravitational lensing explained. Gravitational lensing occurs when light from distant stars or galaxies passes through large ether bubbles surrounding massive structures like galaxies or clusters. The variation in ether density acts as a cosmic lens, refracting light and creating multiple, or distorted images, arcs, and rings. 312. Comparison with mainstream physics. Aspect. Einstein's relativity. Joseph George's ether theory. Cause of bending. Curvature of spacetime by mass energy. Refraction in space-filling ether. Light's speed. Always constant in a vacuum. Varies with ether density. Medium for light. Vacuum, no ether needed. Ubiquitous. Observational consequences. Starlight passing near the Sun or other massive bodies bends as it moves through the denser ether, shifting its apparent position, explaining why stars move during a solar eclipse. 42. Gravitational lensing effects observed by telescopes, like Einstein rings or arcs, are interpreted as refraction by ether bubbles rather than the warping of spacetime. 31. The magnitude and pattern of lensing depend on the density distribution of ether around celestial objects, offering a potentially testable alternative to general relativity 3. Summary. In Joseph George's model, starlight bending and gravitational lensing are purely optical effects caused by the refraction of light in regions of variable ether density around massive celestial bodies. This ether-based explanation stands in stark contrast to relativity, reintroducing a physical in the bending of starlight without space-time curvature. What physical interactions between light and ether cause gravitational lensing? Starlight bending in George's ether theory without space-time curvature. Central premise. Joseph George's ether theory proposes a fundamentally different mechanism for the bending of starlight compared to Einstein's general relativity. Instead of attributing this effect to the geometric curvature of spacetime around massive objects, George argues that starlight bends due to optical refraction as it moves through regions of dense ether, a superfine, space-filling medium created by cosmic mass effect events. Key elements of the ether explanation. Space-filling ether. Space is not a vacuum, but is instead filled with ether. This medium is denser near massive objects, as they attract and generate more ether through processes like nuclear fusion or gravitational collapse. Variable light speed. The speed of light is not universally constant. Instead, it depends on the local density of the ether. Light slows down as it passes through denser ether near stars or planets. Refraction as the mechanism. When starlight passes near a massive body, e.g., the Sun, it enters a region with a gradient of ether density. The change in this density acts similarly to how air and water create refraction in optics, causing the path of the light to bend. Analogy. Just as a straw appears bent in a glass of water due to the refractive index change, so too does starlight's path shift when encountering ether gradients. Step-by-step optical analogy. Distant starlight approaches Sun, the light moves at a constant speed through low-density ether in open space. Entering higher ether density zone, as it nears the Sun, ether density increases, slowing the light and altering its path direction at the boundary, resulting in refraction and thus bending toward the Sun. Emerging beyond the mass, as the light exits the region of dense ether, its path is already bent, leading to the observed displacement of the star's position in the sky. Comparative table, George versus Einstein. Aspect. Einstein's relativity. George's ether theory. Cause of bending. Curvature of spacetime. Refraction in ether gradients. Light's speed. Constant in vacuum. Varies with ether density. 1. Mass defect as a source of new matter. What is New Physics Project by Joseph George? What is New Physics Project by Joseph George? Answer. Joseph George's explanation of black hole formation is rooted in his exploding mass defect hypothesis and the concept of a space-filling form of matter produced by mass defect events across the universe. His interpretation diverges significantly from general relativity and standard astrophysics. Here's how he explains black holes within his theoretical framework. 1. Mass defect as a source of new matter. In Joseph George's theory, every fusion or fission event results in a mass defect, a portion of mass that appears to be missing. Instead of vanishing, this missing mass is explosively transformed into a superthin, invisible, space-filling form of matter. This matter permeates all of space and is subtly attracted to massive bodies. 2. Accumulation of space-filling matter near massive bodies. As stars undergo nuclear fusion over millions or billions of years, tremendous mass defect accumulates from the countless fusion events in the stellar core. This mass defect matter begins to collect or condense around and within the star. Unlike ordinary matter, it is non-luminous, non-interacting, except gravitationally, and invisible, yet it exerts a gravitational pull. This accumulation increases the effective gravitational field of the star far beyond what can be explained by visible mass alone. 3. Collapse triggered by mass defect matter density. Joseph George proposes that when the local concentration of this space-filling matter reaches a critical threshold, it contributes so much gravitational pull that even light cannot escape. Thus,